I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, I feel like she's messing with my head. Well, that can be a good thing, and it also can be a really bad thing, depending on which head she happens to be messing with, pun intended. I've got one email that I'm going to go through with you today. And this is for any guy that is trying to get an ex back, or he was dating this girl who was really into him at first and things started to go sideways, and then you walked away and now she's starting to call you and text you and reach out. However, when you're doing the things that I'm saying to do, which is assume she wants to see you and then make a date, she's either making dates and flaking on them, or she just simply won't agree to make the date, even though she may be doing 100% of the calling, texting, and pursuing. I mean, she's initiating that. So these are kind of like the special cases. Now, I had a situation, and another reason why I'm so good at understanding this stuff and helping people that are in this same situation is one of the women I wrote about in my book. I went back and forth with this woman for about a year and a half, between dating, just friends only, dating, exclusive, not exclusive, and back and forth. And the one thing that we didn't do was I was head over heels in love with this girl from the moment I met her. And the problem was is things were great for about the first 2 to 3 weeks, and I started screwing up. What happened was I started treating her like she was my girlfriend and acting as if we were already in a relationship. So I was in that mentality and I was thinking of these things. And so she was starting to slowly back away. And I was kind of noticing it, but at the same token, I was going, nah, that's not really happening. That can't be there. And so basically what happened was she ended up going back and started seeing the guy that she was dating before we had met, and then kind of blew me off. So it was like a month and a half, 2 months, where I didn't see her. I talked to her a couple of times, but it was only once I really completely backed off a lot that she started coming back. And where the thing that was really crazy about this is I was dating and hooking up with other women, but this particular woman, I hadn't had sex with her yet, because we'd get really close and she'd stop me, and I was still learning this stuff. I hadn't mastered it yet. And so this went on for a year and a half, and I remember we were dating for 2-3 weeks, pretty consistently. Everything was great. She was calling me more and more, and then she brought up the exclusivity thing. She wanted to be exclusive, so I agreed to that. And then we went on a trip. I took her to my cousin's wedding with her and her little girl. We went to New York. And then when we came back, she got kind of pissy with me in the car. She was just in a shitty mood, whatever. Kind of grouchy, snapped at me. And I met her a few days later. She tried to put me back in a friend zone again. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. It's like, I'm fucking over it. And then I just told her, look, it's time for you to move on. It's time for me to move on. Obviously, this ain't going to work. And it's been nice knowing you. Call me if you change your mind, but I'm done with this. And so a couple days went by. She starts emailing me. She starts calling me. And then after about a week of this, I finally said, you need to respect my wishes. You're either in or you're out. I'm not interested in just being your friend. I told you this. I was very clear about this. So please respect my wishes. So I would appreciate if you just move on with your life and I'll move on with mine. And I had become good friends with all of her brothers. She had 3 brothers and her family. And one of them I was hanging out with, and this was I don't know, two weeks after this happened. He tells me that she's sitting at home every night crying, feeling depressed, feeling sad, upset about what had happened between us, that we weren't seeing each other anymore. And he's like, oh dude, she's hurting. I was like, just tell her to fucking call me. So she ends up calling me, and I invite her to stop by the office where I was working. And so she comes by, she comes in, locks the door. I put my phone, my office phone on mute, tell my secretary to hold all my calls. And so we're sitting in there, and she proceeds to tell me, you hurt me. It's like, I can't believe that you just pushed me out of your life. I said, I told you, I'm done being friends. I'm not into that. It's like you and me are either together or we're not. And one thing we haven't done, and I think it's a big problem, is that we haven't slept together yet. We haven't actually consummated our relationship. We haven't made love yet. I said, if we did that, then you would stop holding back and creating all these problems. And so she grabbed me, we started making out, and it was really passionate. I was like, let's go back to my house. In other words, implying let's go make love. And she's like, no, I'm not ready yet. And I was like, all right, well, you call me when you're ready. But you're either in or you're out. You either want to make love to me or you don't. If you don't want to make love to me, then there's no point in talking anymore, because I don't want this platonic thing that doesn't work for me. And it was hard, man, because I was in love with this girl, but it's like a fucking year and a half this shit went on for. When I look back on it, I was like, I was acting like a fucking weak bitch, totally. But hey, that's how I learned this stuff. And that's why when I read emails from other people, I can zero in exactly what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong and what their mentality is. Because I was there once. I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. I know what they're thinking. I know what the woman is thinking. It's pretty fucking obvious to me. It's one of the gifts that I took away from that situation. Obviously, in addition to the fact that we finally consummated our relationship. So anyways, back to the story. So she says, oh, I'll call you. This was like, I think, a Thursday. And so Friday I didn't hear from her. And Saturday I'm playing golf with her cousin, one of her other brothers. And it's like, I don't know, 1, 2 o'clock. Phone rings. I see it. It's her. Her name pops up in caller ID. And I was like, hey, baby, how are you? And I was like, so what would you decide? And she's like, I'm in. I was like, great. I was like, when are you free to get together for dinner? And then we made plans for dinner the next night. I think I did I cooked something in a crock pot, chicken, vegetables, really good. So we had dinner, we had wine, and after we were finished with dinner, we're in the kitchen, we started making out, clothes started coming off, started having sex in the kitchen, then we started having sex in the bedroom, and it was like, finally. And it's like, once that happened, it's like, for me, it was breaking through an invisible barrier of fear. The fear of overwhelming desire and attraction and love and wanting someone, but also having a non-attached attitude to the point where, hey, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I got closer with this girl than any other woman I had ever dated that I really liked. The issue wasn't meeting and hooking up with women for me. It was getting the ones I really liked. And that's deep down what every guy and every woman that's watching this, you really want to have a deep connection with somebody, more than just sex, but a great, strong, deep connection that can last for several years, or if you're wanting to settle down and have a family, maybe a couple of decades. But the idea is that you got to overcome this stuff, and every man has his own journey. Every man is struggling with the same fears, because it's deep down, you know what you want and you want it, but you don't feel that you deserve it deep down. In other words, you fear that you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough. And so that's always in the back of your mind. It's like, what if that turns out to be true? What if it turns out I'm ugly? What if it turns out girls really don't like my freckles? What if it turns out they don't like my shaved head? Or what if it turns out they just don't like the way I talk? Or they don't like the way I dress? Or they don't like the way I am? They don't think I'm funny enough? They don't think I'm clever enough? They don't think I'm successful enough? Whatever it is that goes through your mind. All guys have something like that going through their mind in some way, shape, or form. But it's like, once you break through this experience, break through that barrier, and you make love to a woman who knocks your fucking socks off and who's feeling the same way, then you start to, in other words, you go from having this fantasy, this imaginary idea of what it's like to be with the ultimate woman, and obviously for each person, or for each guy, the ultimate woman is different. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But it's like, once you are able to have that kind of a relationship, and then have them continue over time to call you and text you and to continue to chase you and want to be with you and love you and tell you that on a daily basis, and spend the night, and you wake up naked in each other's arms every day, and you go on trips together, and this goes on day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, that you're together with this person. It's like, slowly those fears and those doubts about yourself slowly start to fade away, because now you have new memories of the way things are and how great you've always dreamed they could be. You actually have physical, real evidence of it in your life, whereas before it was just a theory, and you, deep down, you're always, until you succeed, you're always going to doubt that you have what it takes. But it's a beautiful thing when you come out on the other side, because never again will you let someone of the opposite sex control your heart and uncenter you emotionally to the point where you blow these kinds of opportunities. Because what I've learned in my life over the last 2.5 decades of my adult life, lots of pretty girls you have a great time with, you hook up with, But you know what? Every 2, 3, 4, 5 years, there's somebody that comes along, depending on where you're at, whether you're in a relationship or not. Like when you're, especially like when you're single and you're looking, it's like every 2 to 3 years somebody comes along that just fucking pushes your button in every way. Sometimes you're going to be with that person for several years. Sometimes it might only be for a year or two. And that's okay. But the key is that those are the ones, when you fuck up, those are the ones that sting the most. Those are the ones that you obsess about, and they're always in the back of your mind. And every single person that you meet after that, you're going to be comparing to that one that you lost, because that one that you lost, there was something about them. It's like attraction. You didn't have any choice over that. It's just you took one look at them and you just felt a vibe. You felt an attraction. There's just something there. And what makes it so much better is like when they look back into your eyes and you know without a doubt that they're feeling the same thing. So before we get into this guy's email, I've got a quote that I wrote that I want to share with you. It says, when men make a decision, their actions need to be congruent with their words and statement of purpose. Women can tell when a man's heart is aligned with his decision and when it is not. If a man commits to something that is not aligned with his heart, his woman will sense this. She will most often continue to question him about this incongruency in an effort to get him to say and do what he really means. When women sense weakness in men, they will test their strength until their actions, words, and deeds are congruent. A woman simply knows when a man is serious and when he is bullshitting her and himself. Women always know. So you guys out there watching this, if you're looking at a woman in the eye and she's saying something and she's just totally sees you naked for who you are and your truth, and you're trying to tell her something different, she knows, dude. Women are feeling emotional beings, and they can tell. They can tell when you're not congruent with something. And this especially shows up with the nice guy who's agreeing to go along with things that aren't what he really wants. That's why women will continue to go, are you sure? Are you sure you really want to do this? Because they can tell. And what the reason they keep asking you that, and then a day or two later, are you sure? Because deep down they know you agreed to something that you weren't really congruent with. And that will cause them to become bitchy because they know that you're not standing up for yourself. It makes you look weak. And it causes her to not trust your masculine core, which often will cause women to become a little bitchy because you're acting weak. So let's go ahead and jump into this guy's email. He says, hey coach, I was in a relationship with a girl for 8 to 9 months, and she dumped me in early December. When this happened, I told her that if she was happier without me in her life, that I would walk away. Now I was expecting her to respect my space and allow me the time to center myself and move on, but she didn't. It's exactly what happened to me, the story that I shared. But it's like what I learned all those 14, 15 years ago, what I learned in that particular experience, I mean, I had no idea at the time why I was going through such a difficult thing, but that's part of what's helped me to become the life coach that I am, is being able to see guys that are in this type of situation here and tell them exactly what they need to do to get themselves out of that same place, to get unstuck in essence. So they have to spend a year and a half going back and forth. Literally, they can resolve this in a matter of days, weeks, and sometimes months. He says, although I didn't see her for 2 weeks, she was constantly in touch with me. She then wanted to see me again, so we started hooking up, having fun, etc. It was like we were back together again. And that's part of where you went wrong. You assumed that you were back together again, instead of just focusing on hanging out, having fun, hooking up, letting her come to you. Because the bottom line is women don't dump guys that they're head over heels in love with. They dump guys that have either acted weak, needy, insecure, or in some way, shape, or form unworthy. He says she then told me that she thought we should see other people. Okay, if you're sure you want to do that, great. He says, I wasn't happy about this, only to find out that she had set up an online dating profile. Well, it sounds like she already did that before she informed you. But you got to look at that. She says, okay, I want to see other people. And so take that at face value and say, sure, no problem. Because you got to love in such a way that the other person feels free. And so what's going on here is that whatever it is that you're doing, the way you're showing up, it's causing her basically to say, hey, I want to keep my options open. And see, in other words, I want to see if I can find a guy out there who's more confident and who's more masculine and who acts more like a man than you do. That, in essence, is what she's saying to you. And your attitude towards that, just like the guy who doesn't get jealous of other guys and doesn't care one way or another, especially when you realize that 97% of the men out there don't understand this stuff, you don't care. Because when you have a real deep connection with somebody, that's real rare and it's real special. Men and women both know that. And if you can have a take or leave it kind of attitude, you want her, you desire her, but you're not going to run after her. That puts you in the best possible place to have her start to come towards you again. He says, I felt gutted. I was really freaked out. And when people are upset, they can do and say some stupid, inappropriate things. Well, therein lies the rub. He says, and that's exactly what I did. One night, while out in the company of my ex, I kissed an old flame of mine. Hey, dude, she said she wanted to see other people. He says, we were both drunk, and we didn't kiss for more than 10 seconds, but my ex saw what happened. Notice what he says, my ex saw what happened. Your ex, not your girlfriend, not somebody you're hooking up with, your ex. So, what was her idea? I think we should see other people. Honey, that's a great fucking idea. Let's do that. And so she busts your balls about it. I was like, what do you want? You said you wanted to see other people. It's like, hey, she liked me. It's like our lips were obviously magnetically drawn to one another. I mean, it's like, but hey, you know what? There's plenty of me to go around, so why don't you come over here and give me a kiss too? Come over here and give me a little sugar, baby. It's like, that's the way you gotta have a humorous, playful attitude. I mean, bottom line, she said she wanted to date other people. But the problem is that you let this incident diminish you, and then you start apologizing. Oh, I'm sorry, Your Highness. Oh my God, I kissed another girl, even though we're not together, and you got an online dating profile, and you're probably sleeping with 3 other guys. Oh, I'm so sorry for kissing this woman and that you saw that. Come on, man. Seriously. Think about it. Think about your actions here. This same woman, I wrote about this incident in my book as well. In one of those instances where we were kind of drifting apart, I had run into this girl that I really had liked, and I was like probably for 3-4 years, 5 years before that, and I just totally fucked it up. And so one night I was actually with this girl's brother, and I run into this old flame of mine that I had screwed up with. And she ended up emailing me, and we ended up going out a couple of times. And then one night she and I went to meet up for some drinks and have dinner, and then we were leaving to go back to my place, and then I run into the boss of the other girl that I was dating, and she's with her husband, obviously. And it's like the whole time I'm thinking, I bet I get a phone call in the morning from this other girl. Sure enough, it was like 9:01, 9:02. I'm driving to the office, still kind of hungover from the night before. Phone rings, and she's like, hi. She's calling to see how your night and your evening went. Just kind of like smart-assy kind of comment. And because obviously her boss had said, oh, guess who I ran into last night? I ran into Corey, and guess what? Guess who he was with? He was with this really beautiful girl in this black dress, and she had a really great body, and they were all over each other. I'm sure that's exactly what she said to her. And it totally changed this girl's attitude. She went from being indifferent, don't care, to now all of a sudden she's making plans with me, she's asking me to do things, because she realized I wasn't waiting around, I had fucking options. And that's why it's so powerful. I didn't go, oh, I'm so sorry, I was out with another girl. Hey, we weren't committed. He says, so back to what he says about kissing us, though. He says, we were both drunk, we didn't kiss for more than 10 seconds, but my ex saw what happened. At first she said it wasn't a problem. I don't mind. She minds. Really? If you didn't mind, why'd you bring it up then? He says, but I know from later conversations with her that it was. It's because you allowed it to be a problem instead of making fun of her. And so like when this other girl started quizzing me about the one I was out with the night before and I ran into her boss, I was like, yeah, she's a really great girl, and yeah, she's really beautiful. We had a really great time. And then she's like, well, before you make any decisions, make sure you take into account all of your other possibilities that are out there. And so she started calling me more and texting me more in the days after that, because she really had a real fear that she's going to lose me to another really beautiful girl. He continues on, I've told her on several occasions how sorry I am for what happened and that my actions were childish and wrong, but ultimately were driven by the fact that I thought she was now dating, sleeping with other guys. This is you're apologizing. Men don't apologize for this. Hey, dude, you can't help it if you're a fucking stud and women like you and they want to kiss you. You weren't attached to anybody. It's not your fault. You're just like Curly used to say from the Three Stooges. I'm a victim of circumstance. Hey, big fucking deal. It's like, are you jealous, honey? Does that make you mad that I kissed another girl when you were there? Really? Why don't you come over here and kiss me now? Then you won't be so jealous. I don't want you to sit over there and suffer. Besides, your lips look a little dry. They look like they need some attention. And I'm happy to give it. He says, I would normally never behave in such a way. Come on, dude. You're totally apologizing for being a man. This is why you're getting jerked around. He says, it stands testament to how upset I was. We hooked up a couple of times after that incident, but then she became more distant with me. We both and this is the reason being is you're continuing to apologize. You're acting weak here, and you don't think it's a big deal at all, but it's a major fucking deal because you're not being congruent with your words and your actions. You're apologizing. She said she wanted to date other people, and your attitude should have been totally matter-of-fact, humorous, teasing her, playful, like, hey, it's your kind of fault thing. So it's like if you want to keep bringing it up, I'm going to keep busting your balls about it. It's the attitude that you need to have towards her. Because it's like, in essence, you gave her a dose of her own medicine, and that will make her realize that. But when you act this way and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, Your Highness. Oh, please forgive me. You're basically you're telling her to go, in other words, go find another guy. Oh, you're the only girl I could ever get. And oh my God, oh, please don't leave me. Oh, please don't leave me for another guy. You're acting unworthy when you say these things. So it's like, don't ever fucking do this, dude. It's your fucking birthright to have other women that are sexually attracted to you. That's just nature. Mother Nature's taking care of that. These women don't have any choice over the fact that they're attracted to you any more than you have any choice over the fact over who you find attractive and not attractive. He says, we both backed off. I didn't hear from her for a week, only to get a call from her at 5:30 one morning telling me that she was now dating some other dude. Oh, great. I really appreciate you waking me up at 5:30 in the morning and telling me that you found another guy. I think that's awesome, and I don't really give a shit about him because he can keep you busy when you're not with me. So when you're free to get together, babe, make a date just like that. The reason she's doing it at 5:30 in the morning is because she's rubbing him in your face. And the reason being is the whole theme, the reason why she's doing this is because you've acted weak and apologetic for the fact that you kissed another girl. And so she senses weakness. And so now what she's doing, she's rubbing another guy into your face to see if it totally causes you to come unglued, which would show even more of your weakness, which will actually turn her off even more. He says, how nice of me to let her know. I met her for a drink one night and put my cards on the table. Come on, man. You're just digging a fucking hole for yourself now. Because now you're thinking, uh-oh, illusion of action. I have to do something to get her before I lose her to this other guy. And like, I'm going to get together and I'm going to have the talk. I talk about my feelings for her. And then that's going to convince her to ditch this other guy. Because my feelings are so strong. He says, I let her know that I still had feelings for her and still wanted to hang out and just have fun together. You didn't need to tell her that. If she's calling you or she's texting you, you assume she wants to see you. But instead, now you're meeting her out, and now you're being submissive because this is a woman who ditched you. And like I say all the time, you don't go running after her and go out on dates and expensive dinners and this and that. If the ex calls you and wants to hang out, you're inviting her over to your place for dinner and telling her to bring a bottle of wine or coffee, tea, whatever it is, fruit punch, whatever the hell it is you guys are going to drink together. It's as simple as that. But instead, now you're putting her on a pedestal and treating her like a celebrity, licking her ass, exactly the same kind of behavior that got you ditched and blown off and disrespected in the first place. And now she's taking it a step further by waking you up at 5:30 in the morning just say, oh, hey, I'm dating another guy. Woohoo, sorry for you. You missed out on me. He says, she told me that she didn't feel the same way and reminded me that she was now seeing someone else. Great, you know what? I don't really fucking care about him because he can keep you busy when you're not with me. When are you free to get together, sweetheart? Because I want to see you. Well, I can't. And I was like, okay, well, call me if you change your mind because I'm not interested in being your friend. So if you're calling me for platonic reasons, you need to call somebody else. If you need somebody to talk to your new guy. Otherwise, I'm not interested. He says, after that, I stopped initiating any kind of contact. So that tells me that you didn't really walk away. You kept chasing after her. And the only reason the guy does this is because he's afraid he's going to lose her. I tried that as well. That shit don't work either. Because you're telling her, hey, I'm not interested in friendship, and then afterwards you continue to call her and text her and reach out. He says, although she still calls and texts me on a regular basis, he says, over the past 10 days, she contacted me 7 times, and I've taken your advice and assumed the reason she's calling is because she'd like to see me. I've asked her out on a date, but her reply was wishy-washy, so I told her that when she's free to give me a call. Now, when a woman does this, and she's calling you, and you're now finally walking away and not making any contact, when you ask her twice after you've done it, in other words, you've stopped 100% of your initiating, and say over the next 2 weeks she continues to call and text you, you're going to ask her out on 2 separate occasions. If both times she turns you down, and then you go, all right, well, when you figure out your schedule, give me a call. And then she calls a couple days later, and same thing, you try to set a date, and she's like, oh, I'm busy, I can't, some other fucking bullshit. Stop asking her. You don't ever ask her again. And one of 2 things will happen. She'll either stop calling you, or when she does call you, she'll bring up getting together, and if she does, then you make a date. But when she texts you or she calls you after that, you're going to talk on the phone for a couple of minutes, and hey, it's really great hearing from you, but I got to run, keep in touch. And then you get off the phone. In other words, you're letting her know that you're not interested in chatting with her anymore because you've already asked her out several times, and she's blowing you off like you're dirt and you're garbage, then you're not asking her anymore. And so she'll realize that unless she brings up getting together, the 2 of you are never going to get together in person again. And so, like I said, she'll either bring up getting together on a date or she will stop calling you. And that's the way to handle it at this particular juncture. He says, the last time we spoke, she called me up to talk with what's little more than bullshit, and again to remind me that she's now dating somebody else. And the reason being is because you've acted weak so many times, that's why she's rubbing this guy in your face, because she knows it gets into your skin. He says, again, how nice of her to remind me. Well, that tells me that you're butthurt about it and you're not handling it appropriately. He says, she's called me 4 times over the past few days, but I haven't taken the calls, nor have I replied to them. Well, you don't do that, dude. That's rude. That's not what I teach. I feel she's just messing with my head. What's this girl up to? As always, your insight's very appreciated. Well, like I said, she's just really waiting for you to stand up and be a man. So I would have called her back, or I would have texted. What I would have done if she called and went to voicemail, I would have texted her back a few hours, or if it's later in the evening, I would have texted her the next day and said, "Hey, I got your text. What's up? I got your text. Sorry, I was out. What's up? I got your text. Sorry, I was out with a friend." She's gonna think it's a woman. What's up? And you send her that, and you send a couple texts back and forth. You say, "Hey, it's great hearing from you. I got to run. Keep in touch." And you're out of that conversation, whether it's a phone call or a text exchange, ASAP. 1 or 2 replies, and that's it. Hey, great hearing from you. Gotta run. Keep in touch. That's the way you're going to end it. You're going to abruptly end the conversation, and you're going to move on. Because one of 2 things is going to happen. What really learned that lesson for me was this same girl that I was talking about earlier. It got to the point where I had to do that with her. I stopped. She kept calling me and she kept texting me when I stopped 100% of my forward momentum. But when I would ask her out for dates, she would have an excuse. So then I stopped asking her when she would call. And she continued to call for like 2 weeks. Just about every day, every other day. Hey, how are you? Oh, yeah, really? Oh, great, yeah. Hey, awesome. Hey, that's great. Cool. Awesome. Good. Well, hey, it was great hearing from you, but I got to run. Keep in touch. And I would do that. And I remember after the second or third time that I did that, I hung up with her, and then like 2-3 minutes later, my secretary called and goes, "Hey, so-and-so is on the line." And I was smiling because I knew she was probably going to ask me out. And sure enough, she's like, "Hey, do you get your schedule handy?" I was like, "Sure." And she's like, "Hey, let's do that Disney Around the World thing that we were supposed to do like months before. Hey, when do you want to take my daughter for the day? Just you and her." Penciled that in there too. It's just fucking amazing how it completely changed her attitude. She went from blowing me off to like, you're nothing to... Hey, when can you get together and make plans with me? And when can you take my daughter for the day? I mean, it completely changed her fucking mind. And if you're in that particular situation, that's what you need to do. And if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching. You can choose any of those options by going to my website and click the products tab at the top of your screen and just follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.